Marcus Aurelius Meditations. Now, this is a part of my reading series that I have on here, and yeah, I've read New Earth a little bit. I've read Letting Go, and those are two books that I really enjoyed. I have another book, Another Soul, that my aunt got me that I've been reading, and once I finish, I'll have to read some of it for you guys. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to hear more of those books. Let me create them more of a series, but I like to keep it with different books and books that I'm really passionate about. This book, it's like a diary from Marcus Aurelius, like the Greek philosopher, and it was incredible. I started reading it for a summer assignment actually, but I picked it because I thought it would be really interesting, you know, like I really wanted to learn about philosophy and that kind of stuff, and this guy is like Stoicism and Stoic pieces in there, and yeah, I've heard a bit about Stoicism, or I don't know what it's called, but like the Stoics in that, but I think it's really cool, and a lot of his kind of perspectives on life there I can relate a lot with, and I thought that was really neat. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and before we get started, I want to let everyone know that my 50k subscriber special will be in the next video, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. If you have any other ideas of what you want me to do, comment or on something, but I'm open to hear new ideas, so yeah, leave them down in the comments below. But before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you to all my wonderful patrons: Chloe Copper, Dorian Wells, Ayelet, Joey, Peyton, Julia, Fernanda, Ellareen, Aleks S, Joe L, Lucy, Ian M Diaz, Orlando, Caiden, Angel Roque, O, Mishy, Fahad likes coconuts, Amy Cadden, and Trenton S. Thank you guys for all your undenying support. You guys are, this community is what keeps me going and what keeps me passionate about ASMR. So thank you guys for always being there for me, and yeah, hope everyone enjoys this nice little reading session. So this book is separated into different books. So chapter 1 in here is called Book 1, and I think there's around 12 books. I'd say half of this is all just like intro knowledge and background information, but and then there's half of it is like notes from the author who republished this about what's in it, and like kind of helps you understand it. But I'm just gonna read some of the books for now, since the other stuff isn't really necessary. But Book 1, from my grandfather Varus, decency and a mild temper. From what they say and I remember of my natural father, integrity and manliness. From my mother, piety, generosity, the avoidance of wrongdoing and even the thought of it, also simplicity of living, well clear of the habits of the rich. From my great-grandfather, not to have attended schools for the public, to have good teachers at home, and to realize this is the sort of thing on which one should spend lavishly. From my tutor, not to become a green or blue supporter at the races, or side with the lights or heavies in the amphitheater, to tolerate pain and feel few needs, to work with my own hands and mind my own business, to be deaf to malicious gossip. Okay, just a little heads up, there's a lot of like ancient Greek names in here that I would have no idea of how to pronounce, so forgive me if I pronounce them like very wrong, but I'm gonna try. From Diognetus, to avoid empty enthusiasms, to disbelieve all that is talked by miracle mongers and quacks about incantations, exorcism of demons, and the like, not to hold quail fights or be excited by such sports, to tolerate plain speaking, to have an affinity for psychology, or not psychology, philosophy, and to attend the lectures first of Bacchus, then of Tandius and Marcianus, to write essays from a young age, to love the camp bed, the hide blanket, and all else involved in the Greek training. From Rusticus, to grasp the idea of wanting correct read carefully, not satisfied with my own superficial thoughts or quick to accept the facile views of others, to have encountered the dice sources of Epictetus, to which he introduced me with his own copy. From Apollonius, moral freedom, the certainty to ignore the dice of fortune and have no other perspective, even for a moment, than that of reason alone, to be always the same man, unchanged in sudden pain, in the loss of a child, and a lingering sickness, to see clearly in his living example that a man can combine intensity and relaxation, not to be impatient in explanation, the observance of a man who clearly regarded as the least of his gifts experience and skill in communicating his philosophical insights, the lesson of how to take apparent favors from one's friends, neither compromised by them nor insensitive in the reactions. From Sextus, a kindly disposition in the pattern of a household governed by the paterfamilias, the concept of life lived according to nature, in unaffected dignity, intuitive concern for his friends, tolerance both of ordinary people and of the emptily opinionated, an agreeable manner withal, so that the pleasure of his conversation was greater than any flattery, and his very presence brought him the highest respect from all the company, certainty of grasp and method in the discovery and organization of the essential principles of life, never to give the impression of anger or any other passion, but to combine complete freedom from passion with the greatest human affection, to praise without fanfare, and to wear great learning lightly. From Alexander the grammarian, not to leap on mistakes, or captiously interrupt when anyone makes an error of vocabulary, syntax, or pronunciation, but neatly to introduce the correct form of that particular expression by way of answer, confirmation, or discussion of the matter itself, rather than its phrasing, or by some other fallacious prompting. From Fronto, to understand the effect of suspicion, caprice, and hypocrisy in the exercise of absolute rule, and that for the most part these people we call patricians are somewhat short of human affection. From Alexander the Platonist, rarely and never without essential cause to say you're right to anyone that I am too busy, nor to use a similar excuse, advancing pressure of circumstances and constant avoidance of the properties inherent in our relationships and our relations to our fellows and contemporaries. From Caiden, not to spurn a friend's criticism, even if it may be an unreasonable complaint, but to try to restore his usual feelings, to speak of one's teacher with wholehearted gratitude, as is recorded of Domitius and Athenatus, and a genuine love for children. From Severus, love of family, love of truth, love of justice, to have succumbed by his help to understand the Thrissa, Helvidius, Cato, Dio, Brutus, to have conceived the idea of a balanced constitution, a commonwealth based on equality and freedom of speech, and of a monarchy which values above all the liberty of the subject. From him, too, a constant and vigorous respect for philosophy, beneficence, unstinting generosity, optimism, his confidence in the affection of his friends, his frankness with those who meet with his censure, and open likes and dislikes, so that his friends do not need to guess at his wishes. From Maximus, self-mastery, immune to any passing whim, good cheer in all circumstances, including illness, a nice balance of character, both gentle and dignified, and uncomplaining energy for what needs to be done. The trust he inspired in everyone that he meant what he said, and was well-intentioned in all that he did, proof against surprise or panic, in nothing cast or cringing, or on the other hand angry or suspicious, generosity and good works, in a forgiving and truthful nature, the impression he gave in deviating rectitude as a path chosen rather than enforced, the fact that no one would ever have thought of himself belittled by him, or presumed to consider himself superior to him, and a pleasant humor. From my adoptive father, gentleness, and an unmovable adherence to decisions made after full consideration, no vain taste for so-called honors, stamina, and perseverance, a ready ear for anyone with any proposal for the common good, to reward impartially, giving everyone their due, experience of where to tighten, where to relax, a common courtesy, never satisfied with first impressions and leaving a question prematurely. The concern to keep his friends with no extremes of survey or favoritism, his own master in all things, and serene with it, foresight for the longer issues and unfussy control of the least detail, the check he put in his reign on acclamations and all forms of flattery, his constant watch on the needs of the empire, his stewardship of its resources, and his tolerance of some people's criticism in this area. No superstitious fear of the gods, nor with men any populism or obsequious courting of the mob, but a sober, steadfast in all things, and nowhere any vulgar or newfangled taste. In those things which conduce to the comfort of life, and here fortune gave him plenty, to enjoy them without pride or apology either, so no routine acceptance of their presence or regret in their absence, the fact that no one would ever describe him as a fraud or an impostor or a pedant, but rather as a man of mellow wisdom and mature experience, beyond flattery, able to take charge of his own and others' affairs. Further, his high regard for genuine philosophers, for the other sort he had no hard words, but easily saw through them, sociability too, and a sense of humor, not taken to excess, sensible care of his own body, neither vain nor valedictorian, but not neglectful either, so that his own attention to himself left very little need for doctors, doses, or applications. Most importantly, his readiness to defer ungrudgingly to those with some special ability, it might be in literary expression, or the study of laws or customs or any other subject, and to give them his own active support to reach acknowledged eminence in their own specialties, acting always in accordance with tradition, yet not making the preservation of tradition an over-aim. Further, no liking for change and chance, but a settled habit in the same places and the same practices. To resume instantly after attacks of migraine, fresh again and vigorous for his usual work. Not to keep many matters secret to himself, only a very few exceptional cases and those solely of state concern. Sense and moderation in such things as the provision of shows, contracting of public works, doles and distributions, the acts of a man with an eye for precisely what needs to be done, not the glory of its doing. He was not one to bathe at all hours. He had no urge to build houses. He was not particular about food, the material and color of his clothes, the fact that this dress came from Lorium, sent up from his country house there, the many details of his way of his life at Lanuvium, how he handled the apologetic customs officer in Tusculum, and all such modes of behavior. Nothing about him was harsh, relentless, or impetuous, and you would never say of him that he broke out a sweat, but everything was allotted in its own time and thought, as by a man of leisure. His way was unhurried, organized, vigorous, consistent in all. What is recorded of Socrates would apply to him too, that he could regulate abstinence and enjoyment where many people are too weak-willed to abstain or to enjoy indulgences. Strength of character and endurance or sobriety, as the case may be, signifies the man of full and indomitable spirit, as was shown by Maximus in his illness. From the gods, to have good grandparents, good parents, a good sister, good teachers, good family, relatives, and friends, almost everything, and that I did not blunder into offending any of them, even though I had the sort of disposition which might indeed have resulted in some such offense. Given the occasion, it was the grace of the gods that no set of circumstances likely to show up ever arose, that I was not brought up any longer than I was with my grandfather's mistress, and that I kept my innocence, leaving sexual experience to the proper time and indeed somewhat beyond it, that I came under a ruler and a father who was to strip me of all conceit and bring me to realize that it is possible to live in a palace without feeling the need for bodyguards or fancy uniforms, candelabra, statues, or the other trappings of such like pomp, but that one can reduce oneself very close to the station of a private citizen and not thereby lose any dignity or vigor in the conduct of a ruler's responsibility for the common good. That I was blessed with a brother whose character could spur me to care for myself, and whose respect and affection were likewise a source of joy to me. That my children were not born short of intelligence or physically deformed. That I did not make further progress in pursuits in which I could well have been absorbed if I had felt this my right path, that I was quick to raise my tutors to the public office which I thought they desired, and not put them off. In view of their youth, with promises for the future, that I came to know Apollonius, Rusticus, Maximus, that I acquired a clear and constant picture of what is meant by the life according to nature, so that, with regard to the gods, their communications from that world, their help and their inspiration, nothing now prevents me living the life of nature. My falling somewhat short still is due to my own fault, and my failure to observe the promptings, not to say the instructions, of the gods. That my body has held out so far in life, such as mine, that I never touched Benedicta or Theodotus, and that later experience of sexual passion left me cured. That, though I was often angry with Rusticus, my behavior never went to the point of regret. That my mother, fated to die young, nevertheless lived her last years with me. That whenever I wanted to help someone in poverty or some other need, I was never told that there was no source of affordable money, and that I myself never fell into a similar want of financial assistance from another. That my wife is as she is, so submissive, so loving, and unaffected, and that I found no lack of suitable tutors for any of my children. That I was given help through dreams, especially how to avoid spitting blood in bouts of dizziness, and the response of the oracle at Caiden, just as you use yourself. That, for all my love of philosophy, I did not fall in with any sophist, or devote my time to the analysis of literature or logic, or busy myself with cosmic speculation. All these things need the help of gods and fortune's favor. And that was the end of Book 1. Book 2. Written among the Quadi on the River Green. Say to yourself, first thing in the morning today, I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, aggressive, treacherous, malicious, unsocial. All this has afflicted them through their ignorance of true good and evil, but I have seen that the nature of what good is and what is right, and the nature of evil, what is wrong, and I have reflected that the nature of the offender himself is akin to my own, not a kinship of blood or seed, but a sharing in the same mind, the same fragment of divinity. Therefore I cannot be harmed by any of them, as none will affect me with their wrong. Nor can I be angry with my kinsman or hate him. We are born for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. So to work in opposition to one another is against nature, and anger or rejection is opposition. Now, Book 1 was kind of like the things that he's grateful for from different people in his life, but from now on it's basically what he thinks about life and what he thinks a person should try to live like, his values and his virtues that he believes in, and yeah, just like a little overview. Whatever it is, this being of mine is made up of flesh, breath, and directing mind. Now the flesh you should disdain, blood, bones, a mere fabric and network of nerves, veins and arteries. Consider too what breath is, wind, and not even a constant, but all the time being disgorged and sucked in again. That leaves the third part, the directing mind. Quit your books, no more hankering, this is not your gift. No, think like this, as if you were on the point of death. You are old, don't then let this directing mind of yours be enslaved any longer. No more jerking to the strings of selfish impulse, no more disquiet at your present or supposition of your future fate. The works of the gods are full of providence. The works of fortune are not independent of nature, or the spinning and weaving together of the threads governed by providence. All things flow from that world, and further factors are necessity and the benefit of the whole universe, of which you are a part. Now every part of nature benefits from them which is brought by the nature of the whole, and all which preserves that nature, and the order of the universe is preserved equally by the changes in the elements and the changes in their compounds. Let this be enough for you in your constant doctrine, and give up your thirst for books, so that you do not die a grouch, but in true grace and heartfelt gratitude to the gods. Remember how long you have been putting this off, how many times you have been given a period of grace by the gods and not used it. It is high time now for you to understand the universe universe of which you are a part, and the governor of that universe of whom you constitute an emanation, and that there is a limited circumscribed to your time. If you do not use it to clear away your clouds, it will be gone, and you will be gone, and the opportunity will not return. Every hour of the day, give vigorous attention, as a Roman and as a man, to the performance of the task in hand, with precise analysis, with unaffected dignity, with human sympathy, with dispassionate justice, and to vacating your mind from all its other thoughts, and you will achieve this vacation if you perform each action as if it were the last of your life, freed, that is, from all lack of aim, from all passion-led deviation from the ordinance of reason, from pretense, from love of self, from dissatisfaction with what fate has dealt you. You see how few things a man needs to master for the settled flow of a God-fearing life. The gods himself ask nothing more of one who keeps these observances. And just a little side note about, because he keeps referencing like gods, and like obviously the Greeks worshipped like a lot of gods, but I thought what was interesting is like later on towards the end of the book he gives like circumstances where there isn't gods that are real, and how he would react to that. And I just thought that like, yeah, I think he uses the gods as kind of like a means of explanation, even though he's content with knowing that it might not be real, you know. I think he believes that in order to follow all his values that he has and all his things that he wants to do with his life, it helps to believe in the gods, you know. I think that's what at least how I perceived it. Self-harm, my soul, you are doing self-harm, and you will have no more opportunity for self-respect. Life for each of us is a mere moment, and this life of yours is nearly over, while you still show yourself no honor, but let your own welfare depend on other people's souls. Do externals tend to distract you? Then give yourself the space to learn some further good lesson, and stop your wandering. That done, you must guard against the other sort of drift, those who are dead to life and have no aim for the direction of every impulse, and, more widely, every thought, are drivelers in deed as well as world. Failure to read what is happening in another's soul is not easily seen as a cause of unhappiness, but those who fail to attend the motions of their own soul are necessarily unhappy. Always remember these things, what the nature of the whole is, what my own nature is, the relation of this nature to that, what kind of part it is of what kind of whole, and that there is no one who can prevent you keeping all that you say and do in accordance with that nature, of which you are a part. In his comparative ranking of sins, applying philosophy to the common man's distinctions, Theophrastus says that offenses of lust are graver than those of anger, because it is clearly some sort of pain and involuntary spasm which drives the angry man to abandon reason, whereas the lust-led offender has given in to pleasure and seems somehow more abandoned and less manly in his wrongdoing. Rightly then, and like a true philosopher, Theophrastus said that greater censure attaches to an offense committed under the influence of pleasure than to one under the influence of pain. And in general, the one is more like an injured party, forced to anger by the pain of provocation, whereas the other is his own source of the impulse to wrong, driven to what he does by lust. You may leave this life at any moment. Have this possibility in your mind in all that you do or say or think. Now, departure from the world of men is nothing to fear, if gods exist, because they would not involve you in any harm. If they do not exist, or if they have no care for humankind, then what is life to me in a world devoid of gods, or devoid of providence? But they do exist, and they do care for humankind, and they have put it absolutely in man's power to avoid falling into the true kinds of harm. If there were anything harmful in the rest of experience, they would have provided for that too, to make it in everyone's power to avoid falling into it. And if something cannot make a human being worse, how could it make his life a worse life? The nature of the whole would not have been blind to this, either through ignorance or with knowledge unaccompanied by the power to prevent and put right, nor would it have made so great an error. pleasure, frighten us with pain, or enjoy their applause of vanity. How cheap they are, how contemptible, shoddy, perishable, and dead. These are matters for our intellectual faculty to consider. And further considerations. What are they, these people whose judgments and voices confer, deny esteem? What is death? Someone looking at death per se and applying the analytical power of his mind to divest death of its associated images will conclude then that it is nothing more than a function of nature. And if anyone is frightened of a function of nature, he is a mere child. And death is not only a function of nature, but also to her benefit. Further, how does man touch God? With what part of his being? And when that part of him is in what sort of disposition? Nothing is more miserable than one who is always out and about, running round everything in circles, in Pindar's words, delving deep in the bowels of the earth, and looking for signs and symptoms to define his neighbor's minds. He does not realize that it is sufficient to concentrate solely on the divinity within himself and to give it true service. That service is to keep it uncontaminated by passion, triviality, or discontent at what is dealt by gods or men. What comes from the gods demands reverence for their goodness. What comes from men is welcome for our kinship's sake, but sometimes pitiable also, in a way, because of their ignorance of good and evil. And this is no less a disability than that which removes the distinction of light and dark. Even if you were destined to live 3,000 years, or 10 times that long, nevertheless remember that no one loses any life other than the one he lives, or lives any other life than the one he loses. It follows that the longest and the shortest lives are brought to the same state. The present moment is equal for all, so what is passing is equal also. The lost, therefore, turns out to be the merest fragment of time. No one can lose either the past or the future. How could anyone be deprived of what he does not possess? So always remember these two things. First, that all things have been of the same kind from everlasting, coming round and round again, and it makes no difference whether one will see the same things for 100 years or 200 years for an infinity of time. Second, that both the longest lived and earliest to die suffer the same loss. It is only the present moment of which either stands to be deprived, and if indeed this is all he has, he cannot lose what he does not have. So, that, there's a little bit left in book 2, but, it's getting kind of a long video, so I don't wanna spoil too much of it. I wanna see what you guys think of this, and if you guys like it, then I'll keep reading. But, yeah, this book, I just finished it not too long ago, so it's really fresh in my mind, but for our summer assignment, we had to write, like 2 pages of notes on each, or we had to split a book into 5 different sections, like equally spaced, and you had to write 2 pages on each section, so you basically had to do a reading journal of 10 pages for a book, and I actually really liked that because it kind of got all my thoughts about it on paper. You know, the reading journals weren't really structured, it was really more reflecting, or just like getting your thoughts out about the text, and like seeing what you think about it, how you perceive it, what questions you have about it, how important they were to you, if you agreed, if you disagreed, all that kind of stuff, which it wasn't hard, and I thought it was, it actually made me enjoy the book more, I think. So,